Perfect. So I'm going to begin with a land acknowledgement today. I recognize that we've got people joining us from across Canada, and I'd like us to take the time to acknowledge the First Nations and Inuit Métis peoples from across the lands who've been the caretakers of the animals, land, air, and waters for time immemorial. I respectfully acknowledge that I'm speaking to you today from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation. I'd like you to reflect on the territories from which you live, work, and play, and commit yourselves to challenging the legacies of colonialism, gaining knowledge, and forging a new culturally safe relationship, and contributing to reconciliation in a meaningful way. Thank you. So thanks to all our members and partners for joining us here today for our annual general meeting. Certainly, thank you for your time and for taking the time today to participate. My name is Michelle Bellows, and I'm the chair of the CATCH and the Ontario Constituency Representation on the board. I'm the CEO of Rideau Community Health Services, which is based just outside of Ottawa in Eastern Ontario. And we have sites in Merrickville, Smiths Falls, Perth, and Brockville. We provide a diverse bundle of services, and we're a medium-sized community health center. We've allotted 2 hours today for AGM, but we certainly know people are busy, and I feel confident that we'll give you back at least an hour of your day. A few housekeeping processes for today's AGM. My apologies for my voice. I came back from a holiday and I ended up with COVID, and I'm still not quite right yet. The first thing is we want to ensure we have quorum as per bylaws, which has already been confirmed. And throughout, we'll see any information in the chat. Vanessa will be checking on motions and voting in the chat box, and she'll be letting us know where we are. So we've currently reached quorum, so we can continue. If you have any comments or questions, we've allotted time today following agenda number 6, the item number 6. And if we could limit questions up until that time, it would be great, unless it's for a point of clarification. If you do have questions, please type it in the chat box. It'll be monitored. You can click the hand button as well. That will also indicate to us that you'd like us to unmute your microphone. And Vanessa will be monitoring this and let us know where we are. There's 6 motions today for us to vote on. To help us move the meeting along, there's been a lot of background work done, and we've identified a mover and a seconder for each of the motion. And when we come to it, we'll note the mover and seconder and proceed for calling the vote. We're using an assumed approval approach. That means when we call for the vote, you'll approve the motion. You don't need to do anything. Everybody is logged in. We'll approve you. We'll assume that you're approving the motion. If you wish to abstain or oppose, please type that into the chat box, into the chat window. That would be great. We'll pause for about 15 seconds after the call for the vote, and then Vanessa will let us know the number of abstentions or opposed that are noted. This should help us move the process along pretty smoothly. Each CHC is allowed 1 vote per motion, and the AGM is being recorded. So before we start, do we have any questions about the process? Vanessa, is there any coming up in the chat box?
No questions. So
not here. I just got a text. My assumption with our tool here was that everyone was able to show their video. Are we able to show the participants, Vanessa? Do you know what control item to?
Because it's a webinar, we can only see the panelists.
You can only see the panelists because it's a webinar. Okay. Okay, thanks for clarifying. And we did, and we set it up as a webinar, just so anyone there, we set it up as a webinar because as far as we understand, the participant limits are quite quite a bit less if we set it up just as a meeting. We want to make sure there was space for as many people that want to register and participate as possible.
Perfect. Thank you. So moving on to approval of the agenda, we have a motion, and the motion is be it resolved that the membership approve the agenda for the 2022 annual general meeting. We have it moved by Kim Grant from the Gathering Place in St. John's, Newfoundland, and seconded by Nancy Cloutier from Somerset West Community Health Centre in Ottawa, Ontario. I'll call for a vote on the motion. Again, if you approve, you don't have to do anything. If you wish to abstain or oppose, please put that into the chat box.
Okay, we don't have any oppositions or abstentions so far.
Perfect. Motion approved. We'll now move on to agenda item 3, review and approval of our minutes from our 2021 AGM. Are there any questions, proposed corrections to the minutes? If so, if you could indicate that within the chat box, that would be appreciated. If you'd like to chat, you can use your hand symbol and we'll unmute you.
And Vanessa, just a note to take a look at the Q&A function as well, if people are putting comments in there instead of the chat.
Okay, so we have one abstention for this.
Thank you. So the motion is, be it resolved that the membership approve the minutes of the 2021 annual general meeting, moved by Irene Clarence, Mid-Main Community Health Centre in Vancouver, BC, and seconded by Carly Nicholson, MFL Occupational Health Centre, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Again, if you wish to approve, you do not have to do anything. If you wish to abstain, please just put it in the chat box. And I understand we have one abstention.
Yeah, no opposition or abstentions or further abstentions.
Thank you. All right, great. Motion approved. Thanks everybody. Today we've got Joy, who's going to be covering off the treasurer and financial report. So as Jan had a previously scheduled meeting that she could not get out of today. So over to Joy.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Joy Bonaire, and I am the vice chair of the board. And I'm also the CEO of the Alex Community Health Centre here in Calgary. And I'm, as Michelle indicated, I'm filling in for our dear colleague, Jan, who is the board treasurer. And she's away at a specific Indigenous Community Health Centre networking event in Ontario. So it's super important for her to be there. She sends her regrets and best wishes to all. So I'm happy to provide our members with a report and update on our finances for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2022. As you will see from our financial statements from the year, we achieved a surplus of just over $42,500 for the year. I think this is something that the Catch members, our board, and our staff could consider a shared success. The board of directors had originally budgeted a small deficit for the year to move forward some important projects, most notably our communications and advocacy efforts. A few factors contributed to actually achieving a surplus in the end, and these included efforts by our staff and our board to limit discretionary expenses for the year, the ability to offset some core operating expenses as part of special projects for the year that hadn't fully yet taken shape when the annual budget was originally approved. Also the side benefit of reduced staff and board travel expenses due to the pandemic. I think all of us could probably relate to that on our own CHCs. So the surplus has been added to the association's unrestricted reserve, which now stand at just over $262,000. The board has indicated its willingness to draw on these reserves to support growth of the association and our work. We also recognize that we're in uncertain economic times, regardless of which province you're in. And we know that inflation and other budget pressures at CHCs across the country has had a significant impact on everybody's bottom line. Since Catch and our members may face financial headwinds in the future, the board is continuing to place a priority on maintaining a solid reserve fund to guard against any future financial challenges. It's also worth noting that the 2021-22 was our single largest income and expense year since the relaunch of Catch in 2012, and the third consecutive year where we achieved a noticeably larger revenue base than in the first 7 years of the association. This is thanks to recognition by diverse funders and partners of Catch's value as a national partner to implement projects that can have a meaningful impact on health and well-being across Canada. This includes funding from the TD Bank, from the Ready Commitment in 2020 and 2021 to work with our members in mounting local responses to the COVID-19 pandemic, and funding from the Public Health Agency of Canada from 2020 through to 2023 to increase confidence and uptake of the COVID-19 vaccine. I know our staff will touch on some of this work when we get to our year-end review and updates, but we wanted to recognize and thank PHAC in particular for their community vaccination program, the national projects funding this past year. The continued diversification and growth of revenue for our association over the past 3 years speaks to the increased maturity of the association and our efforts to build upon the core revenue base that we receive annually through membership dues. So on behalf of the board and as a Community Health Centre CEO myself, I want to thank all of you for your continued membership in the association. The stable core funding is critical to ensure that we have a plan and that we can build. Before I ask any of us to consider the 2 motions from our agenda related to finances, I'll pause to see if there are any questions from our members related to the financial report. Vanessa, I'm counting on you to monitor the chat function.
Yeah,
and
I'm not
reading out if there's any
seeing,
questions.
yeah, I'm not seeing any abstentions or objections. Some people have let me know that the chat is disabled for participants. So if you would like to abstain or do an objection, please put it in the Q&A box. I was just looking into while you were talking, Joy, trying to fix it, and I don't think I'll be able to. So if you have any abstentions or objections, please put them in the Q&A box rather than the chat. Thank you.
Let me add, including if you'd like to speak, we can unmute folks. If you use I think there's a raise your hand feature, or indicate in the Q&A section that you'd like to say something, we can come back to you on the control panel and free up your mic for you.
I just wanted to note as well that Marie France contacted me directly on text, and she's not able to log in past registration. She's stuck in. So if we can send her the link.
Did she receive the link that I sent her?
I'm not sure. I'll
Okay.
just message her right now. I'm just wondering if that's impeding anybody else as we move forward.
Okay, well, because I'm not seeing any objections or abstentions in the Q&A chat function, I think that this is passed.
But we need
Okay,
to call
so
the motions first.
yeah, we have the 2 motions, Vanessa. I haven't moved to them, but the motions have just presented the financials. I was just wondering if anybody had questions on the financials. So if people feel comfortable, I'm going to move forward with the first motion. Be it resolved that the membership adopt the financial review for the year that ended March 31st, 2022, as presented to the annual general meeting. Moving the motion is Carly Nicholson from Winnipeg, and seconded by Irene Clarence from Vancouver. Are we seeing any objections? Seeing none or no indication from Vanessa, I'll assume that the motion is passed. I will now call for a vote on the motion. The next motion, be it resolved that Lotus Allen and Co. be appointed as the accountants for Catch for the fiscal year 2022 to 23. The motion has been moved by Michelle from Ottawa and seconded by Aine from Winnipeg.
Okay, no abstentions or objections.
So with that, we will make the assumption that the motion's passed. That concludes this section of our agenda. Again, I want to thank everybody, especially all of our members joining from across the country and our funders this past year. Thank you for your continued support, your collaboration, and belief that community health center model works for those marginalized individuals. I will now hand it back over to Board Chair Michelle to provide our board nominations report and introduce our 2022-23 board slate. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Joy. That was great. So today I'm going to share with you this year's slate of board nominees. Excuse me. I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to thank all our fellow board members for their contributions over the past year, and really to recognize and give special thanks to two outgoing directors. We have Hugo Bissonnet, who served as Catch's first ever constituency representative for the province of Quebec. Hugo is an executive director of Le Dispensaire Centre de Santé Communautaire, located in Saint-Jérôme, Quebec. It's about 45 kilometers northwest of Montreal. Hugo's Community Health Center is Catch's first CHC member from the province of Quebec, and his participation was really exciting, and it speaks to the rebirth of the CHC movement in Quebec and the continued expansion of our national CHC movement. We're hoping to soon have a successor to fill this constituency seat for the province of Quebec. As well, I'd like to take the time to thank Jocelyn Maxwell, who's our outgoing French language service constituency representative, who's been with the board since 2018. Jocelyn is the executive director of the Centre de Santé Communautaire de Temiskaming, based in New Liskeard in Northern Ontario. Jocelyn's efforts to help Catch keep connected to our French language CHC colleagues over the past few years is greatly appreciated, and we look forward to building further momentum in that area over the years ahead. Again, I'd like to thank our outgoing board members for their time, passion, and contributions to the association. I'd now like to introduce the slate of incoming directors who are standing for election to the board. You have short bios of each of the nominees in the AGM packet, and in alphabetical order, we have Joy Beauanaire, CEO of the Alex CHC in Calgary, is the nominee for a second term on the board as the Alberta constituency representative. Joy is a recognized leader in Calgary's social service community, has a long-standing passion for community health, social services, and education. Since 2021, Joy has also served as the vice chair of the Catch board. We have Estelle Duchamp, who's standing for the position on French language service representative on the board to take over from Jocelyn Maxwell. Estelle is the Vice President, Health Services, Quality Improvement and Operations at Centre Francophone de Grand Toronto, which is a CHC serving Francophones across the Greater Toronto area. We have Marie-France Leblanc, who's been nominated for a second term as Nova Scotia's constituency representative on the board. Marie-France Leblanc is the Executive Director of the North End Community Health Center in Halifax. So you have the slate of 3 nominees for the board this year, and they'll join the remaining board members, assuming we get approval from the membership. The motion, be it resolved that the membership approve the 2022-2023 slate of directors as presented. Moved by Michelle Hurtubise, Centretown CHC, and seconded by Barbara Woods, Reach CHC out of Vancouver. I'll now call for the vote.
No objections or abstentions.
Wonderful. Motion approved. So please join me in welcoming our 2022-2023 Board of Directors. And as a returning board member, I want to thank you all for your collaboration and for the time, energy, efforts, and skills that you bring to our national CHC movement. So this concludes the section of our agenda. And now I'd like to invite our Executive Director, Scott Wolf, to share some highlights from the past year and some updates. Scott, over to yourself.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'll just leave up there for a quick second our board of directors moving forward, and use that as an opportunity to thank all of you, as well as Hugo and Jocelyn for their time on the board over the last few years. It's a really strong board, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity, as I know the staff are, to continue working with all of you, and want to thank all of you for your ongoing time on behalf of the association and our growing movement. Something that we haven't actually celebrated, as you may have gathered from doing that basic math of what's happened in the last 3 years, in addition to our previous 7 years, 7 + 3 = 10. So just a little moment to recognize that the year past, the fiscal year 21-22, was in fact our 10th year as the, I'm going to have to soon stop saying new or newly created catch, because, you know, we're now 10 years in. But it's just an opportunity to reflect on 10 years of since the shift from the previous association, the Canadian Alliance of Community Health Centre Associations, to the now not so new Canadian Association of Community Health Centres. It was I think a bold move for our membership in community health centers across the country, as well as community health center associations at a provincial level that were still around at that time, to make that shift. And I know we have a few participants here who've been around over the course of those 10+ years. So remember where we were perhaps 11 or more years ago with the National Canadian Health Centre movement. It's something that had sort of come to a fizzle, not for a lack of interest, but really just because primary healthcare reform hadn't taken root, and community health centers hadn't been funded across the country in the way that we imagined they would many years ago. And so I think that the move to the new association and what we've been able to accomplish bit by bit over the last 10 years is something that I feel pretty proud about. I hope that's something that you all as members feel has been significant. And I just want to take a moment to celebrate that mark of 10 years. And you'll hear a little bit about what's on tap as we are in 11 and moving forward. Just really quickly, because I know you all have busy schedules today, to quick recap of where we've been. You know, these are slides that I continue to add to year after year, just to show where we are in terms of the growth of membership. A fairly sizable, you know, upward trajectory and growth of the membership over the first 10 years, which has plateaued a little bit, which also reflects, you know, just the fact that there aren't as many community health centers out there that are not members that we could still bring into the membership. There are some, and we'll continue to work to the extent possible to engage community health centers that aren't yet members of the association to be part of this, so that we can build and grow together. But it is pretty, you know, remarkable that we've you know, more than doubled from 2012 to 2021, and hopefully we'll continue to see that grow. And of course, as part of that, we want to make sure that we're offering value for your membership, and you know, want to engage over the months ahead in terms of that value. What that looks like in terms of sort of a shift over the association, when we relaunched in 2012, 83% of the membership was in Ontario, which I think speaks to the fact that back then, and some of you have heard this this these notes before, but really a lot of the momentum around community health centers had fizzled outside of Ontario, and it was the Ontario movement that was kind of acting as the bedrock of the movement. But gradually over time, we've been able to re-engage existing CHCs across the country, and we've seen a growth of CHCs in some provinces, most notably British Columbia, which has really caught fire over the past few years, and I think is sort of our most immediate place of hope and promise when it comes to an expansion of the community health center movement right now. It's wonderful to work with our colleagues at the British Columbia Association of Community Health Centers to help that happen, and hopefully that's just the next frontier, so to speak, of growth of the CHC movement. Be able to replicate that in other provinces over the years ahead. We're now roughly at about a 50-50 equilibrium over the last few years between Ontario members and community health center members from the rest of the country, which reflects the fact that community health centers in Ontario remain sort of the single largest constituent or constituency of community health centers across the country. But as I just mentioned, there's significant promise and growth elsewhere, and so you get a sense that membership and the movement is sort of diversifying across provinces over the last 10 years, and certainly over the last four or so years. Also over the last 10 years, and certainly over the last 3, as Joy noted in her presentation of the finances from the past year, there's been a growth in our total operating budgets over the last few years, owing to effort we've made over the past few years to diversify funding and try to move beyond reliance strictly on membership revenue as core revenue to special projects and grants. And we've seen that continue over the last few years. We have a nominal new amount of revenue. It's really a break-even amount through our value in purchasing program, which has grown since we launched it in 2016. But the bulk of that revenue growth and total operating budget is owing to special projects such as the TD Bank Ready Commitment grant that Joy mentioned, as well as our community vaccination project grant from the Public Health Agency of Canada over the past 2 years, which coincidentally is a program that we developed in partnership with provincial associations in British Columbia, Manitoba, Ontario, and Nova Scotia, so that while some of you in, for instance, Ontario may not have had a lot of direct interface with the Canadian Association for the community vaccination program, it is part of, you are part of a national project in that the Alliance for Healthier Communities was the lead in Ontario for this national program of 5 leads, being Catch and the 4 other provincial associations. And so as you see from sort of the share of where our total operating budget comes from, a significant shift over the past 3 years from anywhere from 70 to 95% of that budget in the previous 7 years being from our membership dues to membership now constituting over the past few years less than half of our total operating budget. I think we'd all agree that revenue diversification is good. Our job at the association is to make sure that we're finding a balance between the services, benefits, and sort of return on investment that we hope you will feel through your membership dues with the project work that we undertake through TD and PHAC grants. And of course, those two aren't mutually exclusive. But just recognizing that we want to strike a balance and make sure that we're firing on all cylinders, so to speak. So this past year, just a few highlights. And we have a short video from staff, because I don't want to be the only one speaking here, is that we did shift from 2 to 5 staff here, which, you know, is not in and of itself a large number, but it's more than doubling the size of our staff complement, as well as several project consultants who've been involved both with the TD bank grant and with the PHAC grant. So a significant growth of the association in terms of you know, our operating scope, which is wonderful. But as you all know from, I shouldn't say but as you all know from work in your own organizations, that growth has to be absorbed. And you know, our newer colleagues, Hillary, Iwo, and Aisha, who, you know, are now no longer really just new, you obviously have their learning curves to go through over the past few years. We've found our feet as a team of 5 plus consultants, and really feel that we're you know, we've found our stride, and I'm really excited about that moving forward over the next year in terms of the capacity that we'll have, and the, you know, the value we'll be able to you know, provide as your association at the national level. As part of that, we expanded our communications and public awareness building work over this past year. You'll hear in just a moment from Hillary about that. And, you know, we did launch what has been our, you know, really first large national project grant, the CVP National Grant. Those of you who have received PHAC funding in the past will appreciate that it's quite a significant undertaking. There's a fair amount of administration and you know, working closely with PHAC to make good on the grant. So we've learned a lot over the past year and a half, and certainly I think this has strengthened the association moving forward in terms of administering larger grants at a national level with and on behalf of our membership. We've also coincidentally, you know, as I mentioned, when I referenced our provincial association partners in British Columbia, provided support to new and emerging CHCs and have been developing advocacy partnerships. There are now about a dozen or so that we're in contact with, local emerging community health center projects. A number of those are in British Columbia, and our partners at the British Columbia Association of Community Health Centers are obviously the lead on engagement there in terms of business planning and proposals to their provincial government. But we're also in touch in terms of connecting to other CHCs for resources, lessons learned, and so forth. And there are also a number of new community health center development projects from the grassroots up right now in Manitoba, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. And that's really promising. And so the idea of actually not just working with existing community health centers, but generating new community health centers across the country, I think is something that's not only important to the population of our country, but, you know, to the sustained momentum and growth of our association and our shared CHC movement. And last but not least, a reminder that we do continue to act as the Secretariat for the International Federation of Community Health Centers, which admittedly waned a little bit over the course of the pandemic, just as a result of really all partners around the world sort of focusing inward to a significant extent, given the pressures on member centers and on, you know, local communities. But, you know, that has shifted again, and looking forward over the coming years to Canada and Catch playing again a leading role in helping move forward the International Federation. And I'd invite you to visit the International Federation website if you haven't. So as I mentioned, I don't want to be the only one speaking here. I want you to have a chance to, if you haven't already, meet our staff and get to hear from them a little bit. They're doing remarkable work And we have just a very short video here where they're going to just tell you a little bit about that over the past year. I'm hoping the audio is going to work well. So if we seem to have any issue, if you can't hear this for whatever reason, rather than me just assuming you're all hearing it, if Vanessa, Michelle, or Joy, one of you, maybe if it's just not coming across, because I'm playing it direct within the presentation, maybe just chime in and I'll try something else. So here goes.
Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Harris and I have been the admin coordinator at Catch for almost 4 years now. In my role here, I mainly do general administration and handle the day-to-day finances, including invoicing for membership renewal. So thank you so much to everyone who has already renewed. And just a friendly reminder, if your CHC has not yet renewed, to please do so as soon as you can. Thank you. This year, we have worked with a couple of the provincial CHC associations to offer joint membership for both the federal and provincial association in that province. So this initiative has allowed many centers to join and support the CHC movement at both the federal and provincial level, which is great. I'd also like to briefly mention our value in purchasing program, or VIP for short, which has actually grown a lot since last year. So thank you so much if your center has recently started participating in the program. For those who have not yet joined, the VIP program allows your center to take advantage of significantly reduced pricing on a wide range of supplies and services. So we definitely encourage you to join the program. As the more members we have, the more the folks at Associam are able to offer more services and larger discounts through the VIP program. So yeah, that's it for me. If you have any questions about anything I've mentioned, please feel free to email me at vharris@catch.ca. And thank you so much for attending our AGM, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Hi, my name is Hilary Leblanc. I am the Canadian Association of Community Health Centers Communications and Digital Media Lead, though you also all know me as the host of Community Matters, our podcast. I started this role just over a year ago and feel my skills have flourished. Our content has grown significantly, and my understanding of the community health center world went from absolutely nothing to a much better understanding of this community. Since joining last year, our LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram have all grown by approximately 65 to 70 people. However, our YouTube subscriber count has more than doubled in size. We've also achieved over 12,000 followers on our Twitter account. As you all know, we've been using those accounts to promote various community health center programs, work, news features, but also our own podcast, blogs, and support CHC's videos. Speaking of our content, in the last year, at the time of recording this video that you are watching right now, we've released 18 Community Matters episodes with several more in production, and 4 that were centered around the work our community health centers were able to do with PHAC's funding through the CVP National Project. We've also created 11 support CHC's videos discussing the need for federal and provincial investment in community health centers, as well as outlining the COVID experience and realities some community health centers faced. This year, we've also released 9 blogs, 4 that were centered around the CVP National Project, and 2 that I was honored to be able to write. A couple of highlights for me this year include going to the Action Now conference and honestly, finally getting to meet my colleagues because of the pandemic, and creating content for an organization that I know is truly impacting change and affecting communities. I'll take this last moment to say that this year has been wonderful getting to know the realities of communities across our country, connecting virtually and in person when safe with community health centers. Feel free to email me with any collaboration ideas, content that needs sharing more widely. If we haven't collaborated yet, I'm sure you are on my list, and maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get to knock on your physical doors. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Iwo Effiong, and I am the project manager for the PHAC-funded Community Vaccination Promotion CVP National Project. My job is to oversee the successful rollout of this initiative, which has the objective to improve confidence, uptake, and access to COVID-19 vaccines among the vulnerable population in Canada. Being in this role for over a year, I have been privileged to work with an amazing CVP and CASH team to help achieve the goals of the project. At the start of the project, grants were provided to 9 CVCs across the country in provinces without a provincial association, and these CHCs have been supported throughout their projects. The CHCs identified the community needs and developed approaches, some of which include the provision of outreach teams and community connectors to provide vaccination education and support. They offered COVID-19 vaccines at trusted health centers, created vaccine resources, and even set up vaccine mobile or pop-up clinics to encourage vaccine uptake. These are just a small portion of the work carried out by the CVP grant recipients. A national coordination table made up of the 5 CVP projects in Ontario, British Columbia, Nova Scotia, Manitoba, and Cache was also convened. Through this table, members are able to share information, project learnings, and support one another. The CVP project also partnered with Access Alliance to establish the Cache Knowledge Hub. This is a national resource hub where CHCs can access educational and health-related information in various languages. The hub was launched in April this year and will be sustained beyond the duration of the CVP National Project and is available in English and French interfaces. There is also ongoing knowledge translation work, as well as a 5 to 11 COVID-19 research project and a best practices review led by Aisha Khan, the CVP National KT Specialist, and the findings will be shared at the end of the project. Through this project, Cache has been able to build relationships, establish new partnerships and collaborations, and even present some of the project findings on different platforms. The CVP project has also been highlighted in the September issue of the PHAC Vaccine Confidence Info Bulletin. Overall, the project has seen several significant achievements, but not without some challenges. Project work is still ongoing thanks to an extension from PHAC, currently with a focus to increase uptake of the COVID-19 booster vaccine. The team and I look forward to achieving more milestones that positively affect the communities being served, as well as provide learnings that can be adopted for current and future healthcare and policy purposes. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aisha Khan, and I'm the Knowledge Translation Specialist here at Cache. I'm pleased to work alongside Evo on the CVP National Project and with our Community Health Center colleagues across Canada. I'm having a bit of a hard time with my voice currently, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say hello to Cache members on the occasion of our AGM. You'll hear more about the CVP National Project from the Cache team, and please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or ideas related to our knowledge translation and exchange activities. Thank you.
All right, so thanks. I hope you were able to see and hear that well. If not, we'll post it along with the recording from the AGM at the 2022 AGM link, which you see here. You'll be able to access that over the next couple of days, and I hope you'll share it as well. I want to take a moment to thank the rest of our staff, Vanessa, Hillary, Iwo, and Aisha, for all of their work over the last year. We've, worked really well as a team, I think, and it's pretty significant to move from a team of 2 with processes and whatnot required for that to a team of 5. And like I said, I think we've hit our stride. And I hope that all of you as our members will look equally to them, to connect with them as ambassadors for the association and the movement. If you have any questions in general, of course, reach out to me, but certainly reach out to any of my colleagues here at the association. We're looking forward to working with more of you and in more ways over the year ahead. So again, Vanessa, Hillary, Iwo, and Aisha, thank you so much for your work over the past year, and Aisha especially, thanks for digging in. I know you haven't been well over the last few days, so thanks for putting together a little bit of a clip to share with us. I'm just seeing, I'm seeing that there are a couple of things in the chat. Nothing relevant. We're all good. I'll continue. I'm almost through this. So that was sort of looking back. Looking forward over the coming year, Excited to announce, for those of you that don't know, that we did receive a further project extension from PHAC for our national CVP program, which runs until March of 2023. It's focused on, as Iwo said in her clip, on improving uptake of booster vaccines. And there are, over the coming months, some exciting products coming out of our program there. A microsite, which tells the story of the community health center response to the COVID-19 pandemic over the last 2 years. This is a multimedia microsite where we are aligning sort of the impact of community health centers along the 5 pillars of the community health center model, something that I think will not only support us at a national level to really tell the community health center story, but we hope will help all of you at a local level to really relate to your stakeholders and community partners regarding how and why you are part of a pan-Canadian movement, and what that looked like throughout the pandemic. As well as some additional reports, as you mentioned, over the coming months. I'm very happy to announce here, for those of you who are here for the first time, that we've just received a new funding grant from the TD Bank Ready Commitment, a $1.3 million grant. We just signed the agreement with them, and we'll be announcing this over the coming weeks. This is going to be to implement a national partnership program focused on system navigation at community health centers. More details to come, but very excited about that. That's something that we'll be getting underway in December of this year, and we'll be reaching out to community health centers before then, and certainly there'll be a media release coming very soon. I think both of these, both the PHAC grant and the TD Bank grant, I think speak to a degree of trust and a partnership that we've built with groups like this at the national level, demonstrating that community health centers and the Canadian Association are an important partner to look to in order to roll out community-based projects at a national level. The fact that we've had project extensions, and then this being our second grant from the TD Bank Ready Commitment, to me says that, you know, our work has resonated with them, and that trust has been established, and hopefully all of this leads to increased visibility, and we can look forward to new funding and project partnerships for and with our community health center members over the years ahead. Over the coming year, we'll be continuing to expand our communications and storytelling initiatives. I mentioned the new microsite focused on COVID-19 and the impact of CHCs, but we'll have our next slate of Community Matters podcasts, Support CHCs videos, as well as blogs and social media content over the next little bit. I'd really encourage all of you to, if you have a story you want told, if you'd like to spread it at the national level, please be in touch with Hillary. We'd love to find the best medium or media to help get those stories across. It could also be a focus on a particular issue of relevance, whether that's safe supply or access to housing, a particular food security initiative, an innovative clinical program, whatever that may be. We want to help you tell your story. And we want to share that with a broader audience. So we can work with you to figure out what the best approach to that is. And certainly we want to continue to expand in that area over the coming months. You may also have recently seen that community health centers received very notable mention in the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives alternate federal budget for 2023, with a recommendation of federal investment of $2.5 billion over the next 5 years to expand community health centers across the country. We certainly are going to use that as another opportunity to engage the federal government. And we'll be looking forward to meeting representatives from different federal government agencies to actually help them understand better the role and impact of community health centers, and why the federal government should be looking to invest in community health centers across the country, as well as continued advocacy focused on important issues that we have advocated around in the past, such as dental care, pharmacare, access to housing, now in partnership with other agencies across the country, like Canadian Doctors for Medicare and the Canadian Housing Renewal Association around those important issues. And of course, looking to strengthen our partnerships and collaboration with provincial associations. Several years ago, there was but one provincial association, the Ontario Association. We now have 5 associations that really have a footing. The BC Association, which has staff and a vision and mission and is really on fire when it comes to province level activities. We really want to make sure that we work in partnership with our provincial association colleagues to make sure that we achieve some economies of scale, that we learn from each other, and that we make sure we're not tripping on each other and can add value to all of our members for your membership in both your provincial associations and the national association. So that's just a quick look at what's ahead. And very last but not least, just another plug for you all, if you haven't, to spend some time and recommend to your staff, spend some time at the Knowledge Hub. Again, this has been running for about 6 months now. This hub will continue to run following PHAC funding, even though it was enabled through our PHAC funding. We're very hopeful that, through your use of this site, sharing resources, refining this over the months and years ahead, this can be a powerful tool to support your local efforts and to help with a myriad of quality improvement and service activities at community health centers across the country. I think that's it. I will back up. Actually, we're not quite ready to move to a motion. We'll pause for questions, but let me just stop by saying, as I move to see if any of you have questions for me, I'd like to know more that I'm always here. My phone is, via phone, via email, social media. Would really love to hear from you regarding what you'd like to see from your association at the federal level. Again, if there are particular elements that on which you'd like to see us working, and anywhere that we can really help you to amplify and meet your local priorities. So again, please, anytime, email, phone, whatever it might be, we'd really love to hear with you, and as would the remainder of staff. So I'll stop there. I hope that provided you a decent snapshot of sort of where we've been and where we're heading over the next little bit, and happy to answer any questions, or if there are any issues that any of you'd like to discuss. Again, we can unmute you if you want to talk, or if you want to type anything into the Q&A feature.
Okay, so far I'm not seeing any questions come through, but I'll just wait a few moments in case anyone is currently typing something.
Any other editorial comments from Michelle or Joy?
Oh,
Nothing
not at
from me.
all.
Yeah, nothing from me.
Okay, I don't think we're gonna get any questions, so I think it's okay to move on.
Thanks, Scott, so much. That was a great summary of the past year, and it's amazing how much work it takes that you can fit into 15 minutes, right? It really, and I think we all can appreciate that when we speak to our boards. What we put into a 10 or 15-minute conversation really is a whole lot of hard work on behalf of all our teams. So thanks so much for that, and for your team as well for sharing with us some of the work that they've undertaken in the past year. So just before we move to adjourn, I do want to just take a moment to thank everybody for taking the time today to join us and for your continued support and participation of CATCH. We look forward in the coming months to continue working with you in your centers. And really what's pretty exciting is we're hoping to reconvene in 2023 for our AGM and a conference, which we really want to be able to do in person. I do realize that as much as they tell us that pandemic is over, we're still living with the disparities that have come out of the other end of the pandemic and the challenges that are still there, and they're not gone just because our numbers aren't where they were. So thanks to everybody for taking the time today to join us. I truly appreciate it, as do I know the rest of the board. So on a positive note, stay tuned for more information about the 2023 AGM and conference. And with that, I'll actually call for the motion. Be it resolved that the membership agree to adjourn the 2022 annual general meeting. And that's moved by Kim Grant from St. John's, a gathering place, and Nene Cloutier, Somerset West out of Ottawa. Any abstentions, oppositions? I'll just wait for Vanessa.
So far, nothing.
Confident we wouldn't have any. So thanks everybody for joining us today, and certainly continue the great work that you're doing, and you'll be hearing from us. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. And thank you again, Michelle and Joy.
Thank you.
And
Meeting
Vanessa
adjourned.
for monitoring everything today.